Arcade tries to be a horror movie, but it doesn't really work. I just kind of laughed at it or was confused by it more than anything. So the story starts out with Alex talking to a therapist because her mom killed herself. We're really starting off on like a great note. This definitely makes me want to keep watching this. Yeah, then it transitions to Alex and her friends talking about how they're going to go to a test market for an arcade. The arcade they go to is called Dante's Inferno, and it looks amazing. This is like the arcade that your parents warned you about, or your crazy, religious parents or crazy religious family members warned you about going to the arcades, because it's incredibly dark, it's underground, and it's just really cool looking, to be honest with you.
So Alex meets up with all of her friends. They decide they're going to go to Dante's Inferno, which is the really awesome arcade that I mentioned earlier. I would say more about her friends, but they're all pretty forgettable. There's a young Seth Green, which is kind of fun, and it kind of feels like he's gonna have an issue with this bully here. But don't get used to this bully. He's not in the rest of the movie whatsoever. It's kind of strange. Like, there's a lot of back and forth. It feels like they're setting up characters, and then just absolutely nothing happens with them. Seth Green almost gets into a fight with this dude that's broken up by the owner of the arcade, and really nothing comes of it, aside from them introducing like the arcade machine that they're going to be playing, which still has a stupid name.
So that's one of my problems with this. They don't really do anything with the characters that they have, and they're going to this arcade to play a game called Arcade, which is just kind of a stupid name, and honestly the game looks pretty goddamn stupid.
Try saying that to my face.
Ooh, pretty scary!
I believe that was an actual reaction. I don't think that part was scripted. He probably really thinks that this game is as stupid and this movie is as stupid as I think it is. So I have a bunch of questions about this game, just because it doesn't make any sense why they made it into a coin op, but, maybe the nice guy here will actually explain some more about it.
Now there's a man after my own heart. Straight to the point. What makes Arcade different? It's the way it reacts. It responds like a human does. Each time you play it, it changes its strategy. It learns. It adapts. And it's all done in virtual reality.
And because it's in virtual reality, it means this thing is ridiculously expensive, and it's not going to be profitable. This company's going out of business.
What's this button? Escape?
Yeah, well, that's in case things get a little intense. It's kind of like an eject button. Things can get a little squirrely,
So the people who made this game know it's so bad that they need to have an escape button, something that just ejects you out of the game so that, you won't die or you won't have to keep playing this piece of shit.
Alright, so this is our first look at the arcade, or at least at the arcade game. It doesn't really tell you what the hell you're supposed to be doing. You can probably get confused for thinking that you're supposed to be that weird orange ball, but yeah, the game doesn't really tell you what you're supposed to do or anything like that. So yeah, the hotshot gamer dude here, he dies, or escapes from the game, and then Alex's boyfriend decides he's gonna play. And this is where we kind of get into our plot a little bit more. Alex's boyfriend ends up getting sucked into the arcade game, which I don't know how the people that made this thing didn't realize, oh shit, people can get sucked into the game. Whatever, though. So he gets sucked into the game. Alex apparently is somewhat okay with it. His friends are also somewhat okay with this until really like the next day, or when Alex finds out more about the game.
And this is when we get to probably the dumbest part of this, and why this shouldn't be an arcade cabinet. It's... oh my god, as far as evil corporations go, and this isn't really an evil corporation, these people are incredibly stupid.
I got a bunch of arcades, home versions, and they're free.
So there are home versions of the arcade. I mean that as the game arcade, not the cabinet. Which makes me wonder why they made a goddamn cabinet, which is never going to be able to recoup the amount of money that they're going to charge for it. Just sell the home console to people. Or scrap this thing altogether, because you basically created VR that's big and that's like just small enough to fit inside somebody's house. Why are you even wasting your time with an arcade cabinet?
So Alex and all of her friends end up taking these free arcade games home, just with the promise that they're going to bring them back. Like this universe works on the honor system. Everybody's very, very wonderful about that. She definitely wouldn't sell this to a competitor in any way. We also get to meet her dad, who's definitely handling his wife's death well. And I honestly shouldn't be making fun of that. He's handling about as well as most people would. I think it's mentioned at the beginning he's also in therapy. I don't think the therapy's working out too well for him. You know, at least Alex seems to care about her dad, but I don't really understand this whole dynamic or anything. Alex's dad never comes back again, by the way. She also doesn't tell her dad all the crazy shit that's going on. I'm assuming he would care, but I don't know. This is just kind of a weird part in the movie. So anyway, Alex plugs in her, home version of arcade. I'm never going to be able to get over that. The fact that it's an arcade game called Arcade, and it's also a home console called Arcade. I wish they had come up with a better name for this stupid thing. Like, just anything other than that. I'll just spoil it now. Maybe they should have called it Orphan. That would have made a little bit more sense, but that would have given away some trade secrets on how they built the stupid thing. So she plays the game and ends up losing like 6 hours of her life, which doesn't make any sense. She's apparently only... because there's a timer on these levels. You're only in this first level for like a minute from what I remember seeing on the timer, but apparently 6 hours go by. And maybe in that 6 hours, Arcade has learned how to scan people's minds, which comes up later at the end of the damn movie. It's a very weird game. So she doesn't do too well. Arcade tells her that it's kidnapped her boyfriend and is also taking all of her other friends. She kind of believes them, but not really. I don't know. She then freaks out and calls that hotshot dude from the very beginning. She goes over to his house, and they decide that they're going to do something about this in the morning. Just whatever. They apparently can't call their parents, though. That's just, that's not going to work.
So now they're going to go and visit one of their friends, who I'm sure is doing just fine playing this game.
Oh yeah, she's doing fine. Just leave her alone. She'll figure this whole thing out. She's just really engrossed in what's going on in the game. Just give her some space, leave her alone, she'll be just fine. Clearly her parents aren't concerned about this at all. Everyone's perfectly fine with her just staring at the arcade game, but not through her goggles. That's another thing. Why the hell do they need to hook it up to the TV if it has goggles? Whatever. It's just more mysteries about this game I'll never be able to solve. So now Arcade apparently can do this. They destroy her TV. And then she gets sucked into the game, and that's when they realize all of their friends are in the game now.
So now that you've broken into your friend's house, destroyed her stuff, let's just go and harass the poor people who are trying to build this game. I mean, they deserve it, but still, let's go and harass them. Don't go and talk to the police. because as your dipshit friend said, you just broke into their house, and that's gonna make it look like you did something wrong. Where are the parents of these children, by the way? We know Alex's dad is kind of just fallen apart, but where is everyone else's parents?
So, what's up?
It's about the home version of Arcade.
What about it?
It's hurting people.
What are you talking about? It's hurting people.
We're not joking, Mr. Dibber. There's something wrong with Arcade.
Come into my office.
So they start off all tense and everything and tell him that the game is actually hurting people. Then they get into the office and everything turns and they're just like, oh, we just need to have some codes or something in order to, beat our friends at Arcade. Which doesn't have a score, by the way, and I'm guessing it's just a speedrun thing, but I have absolutely no idea at this point how this game works, because the marketing guy didn't really explain it, and now they go and talk to the developer, and he does a pretty terrible job of explaining it at first, where he just kind of vaguely talks about what's happening with Arcade. So maybe he thinks that there's something wrong, or he knows there's something wrong, but he just... I don't know. It's very confusing. You think they would be more concerned about this, especially at the beginning, and they wouldn't have just dropped it right away, but, whatever. At least the developer, kind of explains what to do at first, but just given the explanation he gives you, it's kind of awful, and they're really just left up on their own to figure this shit out.
It's bad when the developer can't even explain what the hell you're supposed to do in this game, or when they never bother to tell you. Like, I get the Arcade might not have actually had, like, an instruction manual with it, and the marketing dude did a shit job of explaining what you're supposed to do, but you would have thought the home version would have kind of told you, hey, you're supposed to find these things. This is the only time that we're told what the fuck you're supposed to be doing in this goddamn game. No wonder everybody's being killed off.
So the developer goes on to explain, the layout of all the different stages. He tells them what they're supposed to be doing, and he does it in a way that makes you think he hasn't actually beaten the game. And that's because he hasn't. Apparently nobody has beaten this game, including the developers, so that's fun. And then he goes ahead and, drops some real stupid stuff on it about how Arcade is made out of an orphan's brain, or apparently part of an orphan's brain that they just were allowed to grab from some kid, and then it turned into artificial intelligence in this game for some godforsaken reason.
So yeah, they find out that Arcade is part orphan. They just apparently were able to find some random kid, take a part of his brain, digitize it, and shove it into this machine. This whole world, like, every parent in this universe, they suck. Like a lot. Like, who just says, yeah, you can take some of my kid's brain, just stuff it in the machine, that's cool. Just turn him into a video game. That won't do anything bad at all.
So then our two, I want to say heroes, but I don't want to give them too much credit, go into the arcade game because they go... God damn it, this stupid name. So they go into the arcade cabinet version of the game, which is apparently somehow connected with all the home versions still. It's like they created Skynet and then decided instead of doing something cool with it, they turned it into a video game. I don't know. This thing is so stupid. So they go ahead and cheat. They write down all the answers on her arm like you just saw. Apparently Arcade doesn't realize that they've done that, or is just like incredibly arrogant and doesn't think it's going to affect him very much. Fair enough. They then go through this really quick to find all of the keys, which was apparently what you were supposed to be doing. It would have been nice if anybody had bothered to explain that to them from the very beginning. then I would have had at least like an hour of my life back if they had been told all of this, because then they could have figured it all out. So what follows is a bunch of pretty cool scenes, actually. Like right here, the racing one where she finds a kid in the game. The kid turns out to be something later, but all of her friends kind of come back, but as like avatars in the game that are being controlled by Arcade. I don't know, it gets really confusing, but some of the visual scenes are pretty fun. Kind of makes me feel like I'm watching like a good version of Reboot or something like that. So Alex flies through this game, which is good because, you know, we're running out of time here and the movie needs to actually wrap up. And she finds out that the kid that she mysteriously found happens to be Arcade. And she makes it to the final part, Arcade reveals itself, and then she finds Arcade's brain in order to destroy it. Which I guess was the goal of all of this. Which doesn't really give you a lot of replayability with this game. If one person finds it and completes it, then Arcade's done, and then everything shuts down, I guess. I don't know, this game is very stupid. So she manages to find the brain, but Arcade is able to beat her. Yeah. At first.
And then Arcade kind of starts being a dick, more so than normal. He makes her relive her mom's death, which I don't even understand how he pulls that one off. I guess, it's virtual reality, but how would Arcade know that? It's not in her brain or anything like that, so how would it know what's going on? Like, I have so many questions about this Arcade game, and this is not the type of movie that I should be asking questions about. It's just, yeah, I don't get it at all. Whoever made this game and whoever decided to release it into a test market is just a fucking idiot.
So Arcade kills her, which is always fun, but it forgot that she had an extra life, which is kind of a throwaway line that the developer tells them, and everybody sort of forgets except for Alex. So she uses her free life, which is another problem because they could have just kept putting tokens into this goddamn thing, and then she could have beaten it that way. Like it explained on the little screen that said, you're dead, maybe put another quarter into it. Which is kind of the problem of this whole Arcade game. They can just keep putting tokens in. As long as there's somebody on the outside of this to keep pumping in tokens, they would have been just fine. So anyway, she defeats Arcade, everybody's happy, her friends get released, and we can go home.
So she beats Arcade, saves all of her friends, but, we're not done yet because this movie wants to be clever.
Turn me off, Alex. I'm everywhere now.
Alright, Arcade. I've made it. Damn it, where are you? Right here.
Bitch.
So is she still in the game? Is she out of the game? Did the game come into the real world? We will definitely never find out, especially in the sequel, which is definitely never going to be made, because I don't think this movie did as well as they were hoping it would. This is one of those movies where the more I watched it for this, I actually started liking some of it. I think the graphics they probably were fine for 94, but, whatever. It's a fun movie at times, as long as you don't think about it too much.
Thank you for watching, everybody. That's going to wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have a movie you want me to watch, please let me know down there as well. Have a great day, everyone.